Hola, buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches a todos los Viva Spaniards. Hello, good whatever it is to you. I have a guest today, and her name is Beatriz. Beatriz from the Uplift Grazing. Beatriz, tell us please all about you.
Well, not much to say. I've been living in England for now over 10 years. Started in actually I came back from Spain not long ago, but I travel every time, every year, twice per year. I don't
All
travel
right.
too much. Been living in different cities. I started in
Okay.
Milton Keynes. Then I went to Nottingham in West Richford. I lived there for a while, and then I moved to Grantham because that was like the closest from that area as well. Lincoln, and stay here for, I think I've been here for 8 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is somebody chasing you? Is that why you're moving around so much?
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like it looks like I'm running. I lived in so many houses. I lived in 8 houses or 9 houses since I've been here.
Wow.
Yeah, I end up getting a degree in criminology and by the University of Lincoln. And you know what, like, and now I was working for TikTok for 2.5 years after I finished criminology. I had a bit of few jobs there and there,
Okay.
and I've been always been very entrepreneurial. So I literally started another company, this time with food, because everybody comes to my house. Everybody's welcome to my house, right? And everybody gets croquetas and tortilla and
Qué
everything. And everybody's
ricas.
like, you should sell this. And I was like, you know what? I might just do one day. And I did it. I was so tired of TikTok. They said to me, you need to come to London. And I'm like, nope,
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not going to London. And I decided to do this and complicate my life double.
And so we'll come back to your company in a moment because I'm really interested to talk about that. So whereabouts in Madrid are you from originally, or did you move around Madrid the same way as you've moved around the UK?
No, actually, I lived like I think only like in two places in Madrid. Once when I was really, really young, closest to the center, and then my parents moved to Getafe.
Okay.
So Getafe actually, if people is into football, they will see that is a football club over there, quite famous now.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I'm from there. I didn't born there, but yeah, I lived there all my life.
Getafe está al sur de Madrid.
Yes, at the south.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's all
So
the south area. Yeah, it's really cool.
so Getafe was my football team when I was in Spain.
No way.
Honestly, yeah, because I'm a Lincoln City supporter.
Okay.
So when I moved to Madrid, and obviously Real Madrid, the most famous club, one of the most famous clubs in the world, they win all the time. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to support a good team. So I went, I tried to support Real Madrid. It was too easy. It
Mm.
was too easy. There's no suffering. It's. I'm used to. I'm Lincoln City and I'm England. I'm not used to
Yeah.
winning anything. So when
No.
Real Madrid were winning, I thought, no, this is no good. So yeah, Getafe became my adopted team,
Yeah.
and I went to El Coliseo quite a
Oh,
few
all right.
times. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
And I mentioned on a previous podcast with my friend Vitali from Peru
Mm.
that I met Bernd Schuster. Remember, he was a manager for Getafe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I met him, and yeah, that's very interesting. Really cool. So,
Wow.
so how old were you when you moved to the UK?
Oh my gosh. I was 22. Yeah, I was
Okay.
22 because I remember my 23rd birthday, I spent it here, with practically total strangers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
And
was it was really weird. It was like first time without my family, first year without being in birthdays with my parents, all of those things you miss, like big birthdays, uh,
right.
Christmases, all of that stuff. Like, yeah, that was like my first Christmas, not going home as well. So many things.
And how did you find that? How did you find that?
Very
Well,
difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but you're excited because it's your first time doing this, right? So the first time you're doing it, you're like, oh yes, one time I know with my parents and then, but I remember because I got a job and I remember like seeing, I was in this Indian restaurant working, they used to pay me cash in hand, and I was like, I want to be on the books, like. And
Yeah.
people
Make
is
me
like, "La, la,
legal.
la, la." And I was like, I don't know what they're saying, what's going on, and I would see all the people celebrating birthdays and everything. And one day I just cried so much. I was like,
Oh,
I started like feeling the anxiety, like this is happening right now. You gotta be
yeah.
strong, or you gotta go home.
Right. Literally.
It
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah. You
And
strong, or you hung on to this, or it is what it is. You came here for this, like.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
absolutely.
it was really hard at the beginning. Like, I was like, when it was setting in, I was like, oh my God.
And was it that mental strength, would you say? Was it that sort of having a chat with yourself and saying, look, come on, this is what you wanted, you got to get through it? Or
Yeah.
did you have good friendship connections around you?
Not really, no. No, actually I stayed away from Spanish people for a while. I
Sounds
had
like
to.
trauma.
I had trauma from Spanish people.
Don't say
I don't
that.
know, but I was
My
like,
students
Spanish
want to go
people.
to Spain.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not having why the Spanish people here are so different. They were so different. They came here with a goal, right? And some people, these people who come here and live their lives, don't harm anybody, but then there's people who come with a goal, and that goal is to get money, and with that money do whatever they want in Spain or other countries. And these are the people you need to be aware of, you
Right.
know
Okay, I understand what you're
so
saying.
yeah, I had
Um,
a little bit trauma with Spanish people, so yeah.
so if we say that the Spanish people you've mentioned are not the norm, and when you think back to your typical Spaniards, your family, your friends in Getafe and around Madrid,
Yeah,
what would you say are the characteristics of your typical Spanish person?
well, I will say we are very straightforward. We say things how we feel them many times. We're very passionate people. We just like a lot of human connection, like we like party, but we also like to sit down, have tapas, have beer, getting to know each other, getting to know other people, like just random people of the street. Like, I miss going out in Madrid for a few beers. You end up like going out to a little bar, but they put music,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then like there's people on the street, and I will find people on the street like doing like this, like how do you say, fist to fight?
Yeah, like
Like,
fighting
yeah,
and
like I was like people like randoms with each other. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just people that you find on the street and you just be friend for a little second. It's just
yeah.
it is what it is. Like we are more warm in that sense.
I think so. Culturally, it's really interesting because obviously, when you greet a person in Spain, a male and a female will greet with two kisses,
Yeah.
even if they're unknown to each other. Generally speaking,
Hmm.
obviously, a business context is slightly different. Two females will greet with two kisses. Men will greet with a handshake and normally a hug. And it's a much closer, culture
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
Did you find that something to overcome when you came to England? Was it awkward for you to not just go and run up to somebody and kiss them, or
Yes. I was
or did
like,
you just do it anyway?
I did it anyway, and I was like, "Mwah." And I give like one kiss, and then I went for the second, and people go like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "It's two kisses in Spain." I said
Yeah.
to everybody, "It's two kisses in Spain." It's like, it is what it is. This is this is what it is. You gotta take it in. And people is like, "Oh, I like it though."
Well, people go one of two ways with it. Either people completely reject the physical
Oh
contact
yes,
and they're
yes.
like, "Oh my god, get away from me," or it's like, "Oh, that's really cute. Yeah, I like this." Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but you
always
know
one of two
what?
ways.
I adopted so much the ways of here because, it gets annoying. Let me tell you that because it gets annoying. You see a lot of group of people and you're like, this is to everybody. I don't want to do that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And now when I go to Spain, I'm like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
What's
Hello, everybody.
up? And I give a little hug, like, and I'm done. You
Yeah,
know, that is so easy.
yeah. Well, that's it. The worst thing is to arrive at a party and be the last one there. Because you
Oh,
spend the first 15 minutes kissing people and
oh
hugging
my God,
people
too much
and making
kissing.
small talk. You
Mm,
need to be there early. And when you're early, at least then when everybody else arrives, it's just a kiss.
yeah,
You know,
or
it's
like,
just yeah, a quick greeting or a high five or whatever you want it to be.
yeah, it's
Now,
too much. We do
it's
too much, I
interesting,
think. Too much kissing. Don't kiss me that much.
especially during COVID. I wonder if
Oh,
have you
yeah,
get
during COVID, I'm like, you can't kiss me. I'm good.
have you found having been back since restrictions have gone and everything's opened up again? Have you found that people are different with each other with the physical contact? Are more people rejecting the two kisses, or have things just gone back to the way they were?
I think I don't know, but because I don't kiss people no more. I don't really know. People is like, come on, hug me or do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you really have
Yeah, but
rejected the
like,
old way.
yeah, people is like, people it tends to go back to the same thing. Obviously, my friends, when they see me, I want to hug them because I haven't seen them in such a long time. But with other people, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting that you mentioned about the passion that Spanish people have, and one of your passions clearly is food.
Oh, yes.
What is it about Spanish food that makes Spanish people, and I'm not saying it's not the case, but Spanish people feel so strongly about Spanish food being the best food in the world?
Yes, it is.
I knew that was going to be the answer. I knew it.
Yeah, because I mean, all the Michelin restaurants are there. No, it's just like you know what? I will say one of the top places in Spain to eat will be San Sebastián,
Mhm.
Donosti, which
Yeah, yeah.
is obviously in the north of Spain
Mhm.
and actually not far from England.
So,
Just take a boat and you just get in there, and I will say, oh, the food there is just amazing. You
nice.
know, uh, every place in Spain they have obviously their own dishes and everything. So I will definitely recommend to do like a culinary trip around Spain because it's just like I'll say for the senses, like
Yeah, yeah.
it's so good. It's not just like food, it's like the sightseeing and the food and the people and it's a whole vibe together, right? So it's like food, but it's cheap food because at the same time you don't have to, you know, it's not very difficult ingredients to put together. But when
Yeah.
you put them, they are very flavored. There's a lot of flavors to them. So I will say that that's why we like it, right? And there's very comforting food as well. We have winter food, we call it the cuchara,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
all with a
With the
spoon and
spoon.
everything. Exactly, stews, soups, we have amazing variety. It's very healthy food. That's
Yeah.
why I'm trying to introduce to people to Mediterranean food is one of the top diets that you can have in your life. Yeah, it's really, really healthy for you. And obviously, if you just balance it right, I'm not saying you cannot get fat from Spanish food because there's a lot of fried options,
Hmm.
you know, but just, take it easy. It's not saying not have it, but croqueta, who says no to a croqueta? Because, it's
No, you
crazy. Like,
can't. You
you
can't
can't.
say no to.
You can't
Okay,
say no.
quick question. Which is the best filling for a croqueta?
Oh my God. You know what? I'm a bit of a weirdo.
Oh no, don't
My
say
actual
queso azul.
favorite.
Not
Oh
no
yeah, I like that one a lot. But
blue
I
cheese.
also
Oh,
like
I'm sorry.
a squid ink and like squid inside.
Okay, okay.
I love that
I can
one. I
imagine that's
actually make
nice.
that one. Yeah. I get the
Okay.
squid ink and it all looks black, but the flavor is
I do
top.
like squid in its ink. I am a fan. You see, for me, you can't beat a croqueta de jamón.
Yes.
La clásica.
Classic.
You know, you can't go wrong with that.
never.
And the question always has to be when you go to the restaurant, las croquetas son caseras?
Yes.
Because if the answer is no, casera, obviously for anyone listening, meaning homemade. If the answer is no, you don't
Mm-mm.
want it. No, thank you.
No,
Okay, we'll get
don't
something
buy
else then.
them.
Thank you.
You
Yeah,
know,
we'll get
don't
something
buy
else.
them like that. You can have croquetas caseras and they are frozen and you can buy them like that. You
Yeah.
know, that's fine. I do those options as well. If people want to buy a big bag of croquetas and you want to have it in your freezer, just take it out whenever you want. And it's such a warm thing because you have a little soup and then you have croqueta and that's it. You see what I mean? It's comforting. And every time I was lonely, and I was feeling like so stressed and everything, food saved me from that place. So
Right.
I backtrack everything every moment, and every moment food was there.
Literally.
So I was like, I will try make myself happy and make other people happy with my
Right.
food. So that was the goal, basically. That
Well,
is
that's
the
it.
goal still.
The meal in Spain is the excuse, right, to get
Yes,
together. You
it's
know, it's
excuse.
it's about being around people, and the meal just happens to be the thing that we use to surround the table, to put on the table, so it's surrounded by the people that we love and care about.
Exactly.
So you've mentioned San Sebastian being one of the culinary capitals of
I
Spain.
love it.
If you think about traditional regional foods, is there anywhere that stands out to you as being, you know what, if you had to eat only comida valenciana or comida gallega or comida vasca, comida
Mm.
andaluza, is there anything that stands out, any different place that makes you think, you know what, that's the one?
It's not about place. I would say the most typical food, I will say, is paella.
Yeah.
Everybody knows paella. Everybody identifies paella with Spain more than a cochinillo frito, more than well, tortilla as well, right? But
Tortilla de patatas, claro.
paella is literally the top there, you know?
Yeah. All right. Tell us how to make the perfect paella.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, maybe not from start to
There's so
finish, because I
many
know there are a lot of
though.
steps. However, in your mind, what is the traditional paella
Valencian.
valenciana?
Yeah, Valencian
And,
paella.
and
That
what
is
does it
actually
have?
made with chicken and rabbit, which
Okay.
many people in here, they don't like rabbit.
No.
And I don't understand why. I had trouble to get rabbit for my Valencian paellas. But the thing is, you can always do a stock with it and have that flavor in as well. You don't have to have the meat pieces, which I do for a lot of people because they don't like it.
Right.
Right. But at least I can extract the flavor and put it in the stock, which is really good. But it has these special butter beans as well and green beans
Yeah.
on it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
it has
rabbit's just
butter
like
beans,
chicken.
chicken, yeah, chicken and the green beans, butter beans, and the rabbit, and that is essentially Valencian paella.
With no seafood.
No, no seafood in Valencian
So
paella.
obviously the
Some
paella
people
de
put
marisco.
snails. Some people put snails sometimes on the top. Valencian, certain people, but I was taught by a Valencian person,
Okay.
which is my auntie, and my auntie is the one who has been teaching me paella. So
Very
for
good.
the business, so I'm still a newbie. I
Yeah,
can
of
cook
course.
paella, but I'm not there yet. I would love to be there yet. I just need more people to come and I can practice more. So
So where can people find you? So we've got lots more to talk about, but it seems like a perfect opportunity to have people understand where they can find you, where they can order your croquetas, where they can
mm,
book you for events. Where would
yeah.
they find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram mainly because I post mostly there. But also, I have a website which is still under construction, but anybody can find my number on Google. They just can put the Uplift Grazing or like Spanish food delivery in Lincoln, and they're gonna find me because I'm the only one there. You
Okay.
know, yeah. There's other Spanish restaurants, but there's no Spanish delivery per se or like to do these type of events. There's other people, but they need to come from other places farther
Right.
away.
Yeah. So what do you make of British food?
I There's no British food but fish and chips. There's actually
El
Scottish
roast
food.
beef? El roast beef?
But this roast beef is a very is a normal thing. It's just putting meat in the oven. There's nothing special. I love a Yorkshire pudding. A
Yeah,
Yorkshire
yeah.
pudding. I'm obsessed with gravy. I miss when I go to Spain, I miss gravy so much.
I argued a lot with Spanish people about British food.
Oh,
Now, the reason I argued a lot is because, in my mind, British food is international food. Because if you go to, Lincoln's only a small city, but you can get every type of food that you want in Lincoln. So for me, if you can walk down a street and you can have 20 different types of cuisine,
yeah,
that's British food. Whereas if you go to a small city, I don't know what Getafe is like now, but
yeah.
if you go to a small city or a small town in Spain, you can find 35 different Spanish restaurants and bars, one Chinese restaurant, maybe one Indian restaurant, but that's it.
Not
You
even
know,
Indian. When
I
I
mean,
came here,
yeah,
that's the first time I had Indian food. I
really.
never had Indian food before, and I was like, I love this. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I really love to be here because I can find so many places of different foods from everywhere in the world. That's what I love about this country. It's so international, you know.
So we agree, British food is brilliant.
It's international food. There is Indian food, Ethiopian food, like Lebanese or Lebanese. That was a great
Yeah,
discovery. Wow, amazing food. You can find all types. In Spain, you can find, but you need to go more to the center. You
that's right.
can't go in Getafe, there's more likely that there's not going to be a Moroccan restaurant,
Right.
But in Madrid, you can find Cuban,
That's right.
Moroccan, all
Yeah.
sorts,
You can find in a bit in Madrid, obviously is a place I know best. In Madrid you can find everything. And even
everything.
in each neighborhood they have one of everything at least. You
Yeah.
don't have to go too far for it. But that's because of the migration, immigration, and the movement of people that have allowed that to happen.
Mm.
But yeah, very interesting. What about el jamón serrano?
El jamón? What about the jamón?
I mean,
Do you
it's
like?
everywhere.
It's
You walk
everywhere.
around Madrid and you see it hung up in the
Everywhere. Yeah,
windows.
of course.
El
Cured meat.
Museo de Jamón.
Oh, what? I don't like too much. I don't like too much. And there's other places that are much, much better than El Museo del Jamón. But El Museo del Jamón is very touristy place to go.
That's right.
And you can see all the jamons hanging and everything, which is very wow for everybody to see. It's like, what? Where am I? And people find it really interesting. And I think they are needed to be there, because people can see it unless you go to a big supermarket and then you can see them. But yeah, interesting place.
Are you proud of Spanish ham? Because that's you ask a lot of
I
Spaniards and that's
love
their
a
favorite
Spanish
food.
ham, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not keen on Parma ham because that's like the cousin of it. I would say it's like a distant cousin. Yeah, it's similar, but it's not the same, Parma ham. Serrano ham is a bit more cured, I'll say a bit more salty. And you can find so many varieties as well. Depends what they feed to the pork.
Right, to the
That's
pig
really
itself.
important. What
Yeah,
the pork is being fed is what that gives the quality of the meat so much.
yeah. So Beatriz, we have a little bit of Spanglish. I think this is the first bit of Spanglish we have.
Anyway,
El
I can speak
cerdo.
Spanglish
El,
all the
el, el,
time.
el, el cerdo. El
El
cerdo
cerdo.
is the pork if
Yeah.
it's the meat of the animal. It's the pig that gets fed, right?
Oh, it's the pig that gets
It's
fed.
the
Yeah.
pig.
How can I make this mistake?
But that's
You know
good
what?
because
Sometimes this happens. It's brain
of
fog.
course it does. Of course it does. But you know what? That's a perfect. The next thing I was going to come on to was about your journey in English.
Okay.
So, thinking back to your school days,
It's been
were
a
you
journey.
a ring rang rung, come kame come, and gone when gone? Was that you?
Oh my God. It was horrible.
Did you learn in lists like that? Was that how you were taught? Because
Yes.
obviously, for those listening,
Yes.
they're probably thinking, "What on earth is he on about?" But I know that in
Sing
Spain,
Samsung.
Think Tank Tunk. No, not Think.
Sing
Sing Sang
Samsung.
Sung.
Sing Samsung. And people is like, that's Chinese.
Yeah. So for those listening that don't have a clue what's happening, it's all about the way that Spanish people are taught the language. So they would have the present form of the verb. So the example I gave was ring. Then the past form of the verb, simple past, the preterite, rang. And then the past participle of rung. So Spanish people would get taught ring, rang, rung, sing, sang, sung, go, went, gone, come,
Oh,
kame, come. That's the best one. Come,
that's,
kame, come. Come,
yeah.
came, come.
And the thing is, the teachers, most teachers, they don't know what they don't know what they're on about. I
But
had a teacher that just because of the fact that he lived in Ireland for 5 or 6 years, because he was like a teacher, that came to do some practical skills
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
English, long time ago, came back to Spain, sorry, and that's it. That's all you need. You are a history teacher. You're a history, what they call it, a history major or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now
Specialist.
you just come to Spain, and because you've been living in Ireland, you think like you can teach people English? Like, no, it was actually horrible. And in fact, like there was a girl that she lived in America for a long time in California. She came back perfect English,
Right.
that was ridiculous. And he was still like not even put a 10 on her exams because he was that,
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
you're an adult,
Like
like you
a
need to be
power
the
play.
bigger
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's been like that. And I actually I have a conversational classes with this boy. Is young as well, like he's 13, and he goes to a bilingual school, and we talk in English, and everything, and we discuss TV shows and everything, and I just correct him few things, and he
That's
says,
cool.
it's because my teacher don't do anything. My teacher just go to the blackboard, said to me, I have to do this exercise, and I have no idea about the phrasal verbs. So right now we are on phrasal verb duty, which I'm very like every day, like, okay, another
Yeah, yeah.
exercise, and because you need to learn them because this is what we use in England, like most of the time.
Hmm.
Phrasal verbs are gonna be your everyday type of thing.
Well, I mean, one of my questions that I had for you was, is there anything that you found particularly interesting or difficult when learning
Mm,
English in comparison to Spanish? And the verb I used within the question was to get your head around. Now, obviously, a
mm,
perfect example of a phrasal verb, because what does that mean to a Spanish person? Well, it means absolutely nothing.
yeah.
To get one's head around doesn't
Yeah, but
doesn't
I don't
doesn't mean
know,
anything.
maybe because my journey is been very abrupt when it comes to English. So most of the English that I learn by myself. I actually went to British Council before I came to England for a few
Okay.
months to prepare myself, but I just felt that it was more like grammar and everything rather than we read a lot, but you learn a lot by listening and talking to people. That's how you learn. That's how I feel that you learn more, like more with practical things going on. It's good to have the grammar because if you have to write an email and you're clueless, or then you need to know what
Yeah.
to do, right? But I came here and I was like, what's kind regards? Yours faithfully. What is this?
Yeah.
And I learned all of this in college. I end up going to college. I end up doing IELTS, GCSEs. Uh, so my journey has been crazy, but mostly when I was out of high school, I put myself TV shows every single day. Even I sleep with the TV show on. And my dad was like, you constantly watching TV. And I'm like, you will
Yeah.
see one day what I'm on about, and he was like, okay, I see what you're on about now.
But how
Now
how
you hear
how
me talking.
how prepared were you, do you think? If 100% is I could cope with everything that was thrown at me in English, when you arrived in England at 22 years old, how prepared do you think you were? versus how,
English.
yeah,
Just a
versus where you
bit
are now,
better,
maybe.
just a bit better than the average Spanish person,
Okay.
just because I was every day, and I will look excuses to like talk to people in English as well. So I will have this friend that is like practically my sister. She's Iranian, so she speaks English and she didn't know Spanish by this point. So we were completely communicating in English, and that was amazing because that gave me a lot of confidence
Yeah.
before I came here. And when I left, and when we talk now, she's like, how can you speak like even better English than me now? Like, how? But I make a lot of mistakes still, a lot of them,
Your
you know.
English is very accurate. Very, very
You
accurate.
think? I
Yes.
think I make many, many mistakes. Also, because I'm dyslexic, I will confuse words, and things like that. But if obviously I'm academically prepared, because that was a huge milestone for me. It was horrible, going to uni and doing all these exams and essays, and you don't understand anything.
Yeah.
Or you go to lessons and you end up crying at the end of the day because you were like, oh my God, like they asked me a question and I was completely blocked, frozen.
Yeah. Yeah,
Betty, hello.
yeah.
It was really, really hard. It was really hard time, but I'm glad I went through it. I just literally put myself through pain. I don't know why. But yeah, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, you're gonna learn double.
I completely agree. A hundred
Yeah.
percent agree. One of the things I'm going to do with my students this year is take a trip to Madrid.
Amazing.
Yes,
Yes.
so it's in the pipeline now. There are talks about the best dates for the majority of the people, and we're going to
Yep.
go, and I'm going to set them challenges and uh, give them a tour of Madrid. We were thinking maybe to go to Segovia and have the cochinillo that you mentioned,
That's really good.
um, and get a real immersive experience for them.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm doing
that's the
exactly the
idea.
same, but with food this year. I want to
That's
give,
cool.
actually, I want to take people from here, from England, or especially from Lincoln, obviously, because I'm based here, and do a little tour, do a few trips in Spain, culinary trips. So to teach them about the history behind the food, because when I teach in cookery school, I teach them about why the paprika is in our food, etc., because we colonized America and we brought it from there. And there's things that I need to teach people why Spanish food is the way it is like that.
That's really cool.
So yeah, and then I teach the recipe and everything. I teach them a little bit Spanish too, but hopefully I can do the same. But we can go to Madrid, or like you say, Segovia. Let's eat cochinillo, a little bit of the history. So it's gonna be really interesting as well.
That sounds amazing. That sounds really good.
Yeah, and we're gonna
So,
eat a lot. Everybody's gonna love it.
well, going back to the language part of this, Spanish people don't have a great reputation in general when it comes to speaking English, particularly
Oh,
compared to other European countries. What's stopping Spaniards from being as prepared as the Germans, for example, the
it's the mindset.
Swedish? Is that what you think it is?
Yeah, it's a mindset, and this is also in regards to education in the schools. Not everywhere in Spain is the same. So, for example, I will say in Andalusia, there's a lack of English, like big one. My family is from Andalusia. Obviously, I've been living there as well, and it's just the way they teach. People don't care.
Right.
People, they should be much more hours in English, and now there's more bilingual um, schools than ever, which is amazing. But at the same time, they don't really teach it really good either.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's slowly changing. So the new generations, they know much more English, because when I see some videos on TikTok, because obviously I used to work in TikTok, I saw a lot. I've been working for two departments. I've been working for the English and the Spanish department. And when I was in the Spanish department, I will see a lot of people doing Spanglish. And I'm like, maybe if me and my friends were Spanglish because we live here for many years, right? But these people, that make no sense. There's more and more people using English words like cringe. They will say cringe. Oh, they give me cringe. Cringe what? Or vintage, vintage, vintage.
Honestly. And it's true though, isn't it? Like the words that are trickiest to translate, they'll just use the English version and throw
Oh,
it in there and
afraid.
hope that the rest of the people understand what's going on. Oh, that's really cool though. Like that you had that role in TikTok and you could bridge the two countries. So what
Mm.
was it that you were doing specifically related to the English Spanish departments?
Well, I moderate content.
Okay.
Yeah, so making sure the content is on the guidelines from TikTok, you know. So it's very important, especially for children, to protect children. So I
Yeah.
work for the trust and safety department, you know, and most of our rules are made obviously to protect people from watch horrible stuff that is gonna happen, or things that are not just allowed, you know, like this is not only fans, you know, like
Right.
many people treat TikTok like this is only fans shaking booty and all that stuff. And it's like you do realize that there's so many children watching this. So all of that content needs to be kept away from children.
Right. Okay. Well, that was a really important job.
Woo,
Really important.
it was very not gonna lie, sitting down in a computer 8 hours watching at least 1,000 videos per day, it was crazy.
Mm, I bet.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you
Hard.
get.
Hard and
Yeah,
tiring, I'd
very,
imagine.
you think, oh, I just need to watch videos all day. No, you get so burnt out. It's so much, it's too much.
So, in your experience, and obviously you've got that experience in England, you've got that experience in Spain, would you say that Spanish people's English is better than English people's Spanish?
No, because for a very simple reason, like the majority of people, they know 4 words in Spanish in this country. They will say, hola, ¿cómo está? Señorita, mamacita, uh, call me papi, you know.
Wow.
This is what they know. This is what they know. Yeah, because that's rude. Like so many people, like so many men ask you these things, even like you on the street and things like that. So it's horrible. But yeah, majority of people, because English is a language talk everywhere in the world practically, people don't feel the need to learn other languages. So that's why there's no. But for example, people like you, that you actually put your effort into learn a new language, you can speak amazing. In fact, the other day I met this guy and he actually was living in Madrid for like 1 year and his Spanish was amazing, perfect. Like
Oh,
I
mine
was
wasn't
like,
after
when I
one
was
year.
like, I was looking at this English man like talking perfect Spanish, and I was like, you
Yeah.
know, I was like, I'm
I,
so amazed by you, like so amazed.
I agree with you though, because we don't have a foundation of Spanish in any way, shape, or form in this country. We just, it doesn't exist
GCSEs,
to
I
us.
think, yeah, they do in college, some people, but you can choose to do German and French as well. So they don't really force you to go through one route,
Yeah.
so I don't
I mean,
know.
the majority of schools don't offer Spanish because
Oh,
the reason being our parents and me, the only option was French or German. So
okay.
therefore, when you're in primary school, and now it's obligatory for primary schools to offer a modern foreign language, they look to the person that speaks the best out of the bunch, which is
Okay.
very, very little of whatever language it might be. And it will always, almost always be French because that's what we learned when we were at school. So we just don't have a Spanish background. Whereas
Yeah.
in Spain, at least you have. I remember when I was over in Spain teaching English, the majority of people said, I never had the option to do English at school. You know,
Oh,
probably your parents probably had
yeah.
French,
Yeah, my
probably,
parents went for French, yeah.
you know. So now, obviously, the big push has been towards English as a global language. So at least you guys have that benefit of the language that is taught in your schools is English. You know, I
It's
do
because
think you've
the
got a big
next
head start.
country is France. So
Yeah.
that's why,
Yeah.
I guess back in the day will make sense, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad because my grandparents knew also German because like me, they immigrated to Germany and then they went back to Spain, but and then I left. But yeah, like German or French were the ones that you can learn back in the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah,
and that's it.
absolutely.
Not
Yeah.
English. English was not the popular one back in the day, you
No, I
know.
think also the European Union and Brussels, the first language in the European Union was French, and the engineers were the Germans. That I
Yeah.
think a lot of that's where it comes from. So, what are some of the typical words and expressions, maybe some slang that we can discuss to teach the people listening? Or maybe, obviously, even better if it's madrileño.
Well, you've been in Madrid, right?
Yeah, do you know one of them that sticks with me? Tronco. Tronco. ¿Qué pasa, tronco?
Yes, but you know what? This is from my dad's generation. This is where it come from, because my dad has said tronco all his life, like all of
Really?
it. He's like, ¿Qué pasa, tronco? Like every time he picks up the phone with a friend, ¿Qué pasa, tronco? You
So
know,
tronco being a tree trunk.
tronco, tronco is
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
a
Like
log
the,
of
the,
the
the
tree.
trunk. Yeah, the trunk of a tree trunk. Yeah. So tronco. So that's how they men more often than not would refer to each other like mate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like mate.
Crazy.
It's like saying mate
Yeah.
or saying molamazo.
Mola mazo.
Molamazo, that is
So
Madrid,
cool.
right there.
Yeah.
And in Madrid, we don't say Madrid, we say Madrid
Madrid.
with
Con
a Z.
Z.
Con
Uh-huh.
Z.
With the Z on the end. Yeah.
Yeah, so the
Absolutely.
people from Madrid say Madrid with
Yeah.
a Z. People from all around, they don't say it. So that's how you know you're talking to somebody from Madrid.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because I've been called out on that. I remember being in a bar in Lincoln and there was some sort of altercation going on and one of the guys I heard him speaking Spanish and I said to him, Ven, que vengas por aquí. And he's like, how come you speak Spanish? Ah, es que vivía en Madrid. And, ¿Vivías o eres de Madrid? Y yo,
Exactly.
and it was that conversation and he was
Yeah.
convinced that I must have been from Madrid because of the way
Yeah.
I said the word Madrid.
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 Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Um,
So you
what other
wanna you
words are
wanna be
there?
like from the area, say it with a Z, and people will be like, "Wow, how do you know this?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Es muy molón.
molon. Yeah, mola is like cool, like something is cool.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Mola mazo, like mucho. Mazo is mucho.
Yeah. 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 And it's
Yeah,
good because I teach one of the things I spend time teaching in my lessons is the fillers that you guys use in your language all the time that you won't even realize. We use it the same as English. For example, we'll say, so, well, before we start our sentences,
yeah.
so es que
Mm,
is such a common filler. Es
es
que
que.
before you start the sentence, pues bueno. And I've got that on
Bueno, sí,
some of my
es que I use it a lot, I think. But you know what? When you learn English, you do the same, exactly the
100%.
same. It just
100%.
goes to you like you are from here as well. And I, I have a bad habit of saying like, mm, 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 like, mm, mm, mm. And people say, stop saying like so much. And I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes when you get into the loop of saying something, you just can't go outside of it.
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
bad.
the reason you have this though is because you've learned in an immersive environment.
Mm,
And the reason I teach my students this is not because I want them to start every sentence with es que, but it's
mm.
because when a Spanish person speaks to them and says, es que el autobús no sale, they're going to be thinking,
What's
okay,
es
what
que?
was the SK part of that sentence? And by the time they've registered the words SK, they've lost the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I'm almost teaching them, ignore the first bit. Like, ignore the first word or two or three. La verdad es que.
Yeah.
it means nothing. The truth is
Nothing.
that,
The
to be
truth is
honest,
that
yeah, to be honest, you don't need it. Sabes que, you know, and these things are really important for people who are learning the language when they're going to be thrown in at the deep end and be in that native environment to just tune out.
people find really difficult the feminine and the masculine
Yeah.
for the words, and they also find difficult ser y estar,
Oh,
because to
ser y
be is
estar.
to be here is so easy, and then it's like ser o estar, and people is like, please, can you tell me the difference? And I was like, oh my days.
All right, let me help you with an explanation.
Yeah.
Doctor, place, right? So doctor is for ser. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
describing if you're talking about someone's origin, O.
Yeah.
The characteristics of somebody, si.
Yeah.
If you're telling the time, it's ser. If it's an
Ser.
occupation, it's ser. And if it's a relationship that you have, all of those are ser.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are ser. So that spells out doctor. Place, if it's a position. So if you're telling
Wow.
somebody whereabouts something is in relation to something else. The location, the action, the condition, or the emotion. All of those are estar.
Oh,
So
that's a
you can,
very, very good explanation. That's amazing, actually. You know,
yeah.
I can say more like start is like a state of being. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is your, you know, like you say, like conditional action, like you taking, or how
Yeah.
you feeling, and things like that. But yeah, it's a tricky one, and
It's very tricky because, for
yeah.
example, if you were to tell me that your trainers are white,
Mm.
how would you say that to me?
Mis zapatillas son
Mm-hmm.
blancas.
But you know that you're going to go out and they're going to get dirty, right? So están blancas, ¿no?
Están blancas. Ahora,
Ah,
luego no.
see, right? So there is some ambiguity
Mm.
within this, because when I get to the explanation of the condition of something versus the description of something, because something can be son blancas, están blancas de
O
momento,
están blancas.
right? So
Because they can be blancas now and then later dirty. So yeah,
exactly, yeah.
it's
So
very
that's the one.
difficult. Spanish is so difficult, you know. And I learned this when I started to try and teach people, you know. And I was like, oh wow, how do I say this? You know,
Yeah,
I know the English, and why do I know the English? Like, it's like, oh, I need to think about this rule and everything, because I literally you forget everything. You do it so in automatic pilot that you don't even realize. You get so many expressions from Lincoln as well, all the way to speak, you know, that is, people is like, when I arrived here, first times, they were like, oh, you look like you have an accent from London. And then now that I go to London, they say to me, you live in the north or something. And
yeah,
it's like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a yellow belly anymore. Like,
yeah. But you
I'm a
know,
yellow belly through and through now. Yes.
but this is such a compliment to you, because at least people are saying, "Oh my God, you're so Spanish," right? Because that would be the
Some people, yeah,
worst.
I can make myself Spanish when I need to. You know what I mean? I'm
but,
like,
but
I don't understand this. No,
I
tell
know
me
I know understand nothing. I know
nothing.
understand
No, like,
nothing.
you know what? If I want to put an accent, I can put an accent, and just people will believe it.
Yeah. It should be an
I'm
accent.
so sorry. No, sometimes I don't make it on purpose, because if I've been around Spanish people or listening to a lot of Spanish stuff, then it just comes on its own. But if
Yeah.
I'm like really with a lot of people, like living, like when I'm abroad, or like, sorry, abroad, like away on a trip somewhere, and I'm all the time with English people, my accent is even stronger, you
Yeah.
know? And I get bullied a lot because I say some things in a very British way, you know, like British. I can say British, or I can say bottle of water, or I can say bottle of water, you know, or I can say sofa. My housemates, every time I say sofa, they were like, "Oh my God, yes, Stacy." Or I say no, no, you can do that. No. And the
Yeah.
people is like, "Oh my God, you were so
You're
British
like
for
a
a
thousand
second."
different people.
Yeah. Different Bettys.
God, I'd hate to be in your head. It must be so busy.
It's
So
confusing because even I speak and people is like, "What language do you think on?" And I'm like,
I was going to
"Oh,
come to that with you next because I can tell that you don't think in Spanish. I know
no."
you don't think in Spanish, right? But that's you know, I've spoken about this previously, that the learning process goes, first of all, you just don't know it. Then you're taught it and you go, oh, okay, I think I get it. Then eventually you do get it, but you still make the mistakes you made before.
Mm,
You don't know why. You're explained, you fix it. Then you make the mistake again. You go, oh, I know I've made a mistake, but I don't know how to fix it. Then you can fix it. And the ultimate point is where you are with your English, where I am with my Spanish, whereby it just comes to you as it's supposed to be.
yeah.
And it's a long process.
Yeah, but like I do actually think in English, like
Mm.
much of the time, and even I talk to the dog in English, and the dog is now bilingual. You know, I say bilingual because I don't speak Spanish anymore, and I don't speak English no more. Like sometimes I'm like, what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How long do
uh,
you think it took you to get to that point
oh,
whereby you weren't going, okay, right, I need to
how
ask for a
depends
drink and
how
to,
immersive you want to be in the experience, right? If you go Uh, oh, one of the biggest mistakes that I make, and most people make, Spanish people, is the B and the V's.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's so bad. Is people is like, what did you say? Oh, just go to the van and load these things on the van, you
yeah,
know? And then many times I say the van
the ban.
and the
Mhm.
van. And it's like, what? And I'm like, come on, you know what I said.
The
Ah,
big white thing.
hmm.
If someone were to ask you, would you tell them that in Spanish there is or there isn't a difference between the B and the V?
In Spanish, no. Only
I
the way
thank you.
you write it, but not the way you talk.
Yeah, yeah,
The
thank you.
the the way you say it is like a B.
Because the reason I'm asking you this is because I follow some other people that teach Spanish and whatnot, and there's a little bit of a community. And I have seen some people claiming that there's a difference. And
No,
I've said, for me, at least where I learned in Madrid and the majority of Spain, there wasn't a difference at all. And there were some
no.
people, two ladies that do a sort of dual channel on Instagram. And they contradict themselves a little bit because when they speak in English, when they speak in Spanish to each other, they'll say, for example, vamos a ver. And then when they turn to the camera and repeat what they've said for people to understand, they'll say, vamos a ver. And I'm thinking, you're teaching wrong at this point because
Yeah.
you've shown colloquially and natively that you use the V as a B pronunciation, at least to us English people. And then when you turn to talk and teach, you're teaching it as to separate the sounds and distinguish as we would in the English language. But I just wanted to have that thrown out there because some people say there's a slight difference, or you don't vibrate it so much, and it's a softer
No.
sound. And I think in Latin American Spanish, there's possibly a little bit of a difference. However, like I said, in my
No,
experience,
because
no.
it's the same. The only thing is, for example, Argentinians, they give a bit of a different accent because obviously they are mixed, all of them, well, all of them, I will say, but very much with Italians as well. So they
That's right.
have those accents up and down. And it's a beautiful intonation of the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I love it. And even the j, the double L, we
The
say
sha,
ja, but they say
yeah,
ja, which is
or
more
even sha,
or ja,
me
you know,
shamo.
yeah, te llamo, but and it's beautiful, right? But this is like a sort of like a would you say derivation of it,
Yeah,
or
derivation. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah?
yeah, yeah.
So you will say that, so like we have all those things, right? But it's the same.
Keep it
It's
simple, right?
Valencia,
Yeah,
Valencia, Barcelona,
yeah.
That's an
Soy
example right there.
Soy Valeria de Valencia.
Valeria de Valencia, exactly. We don't say Valeria, no.
No.
In Valladolid is where Castilian, which is the Spanish,
Yeah,
original Spanish, well, everybody speaks Castilian Spanish, right? And is the place that is the way they pronounce better Castilian is in Valladolid, and they say Valladolid.
There you go. There you go.
So,
End of conversation.
end of the discussion. These ladies don't know what they're talking about.
But let's not call them out. We don't want beef.
No, I'm watching you, ladies.
I have loved talking to you, Beatriz. It's been my absolute pleasure, and I would love to get you on again because
Yes, I had so much fun.
it's been so much fun. I've loved every second of it. So remind people what it is that you do, how you can help people, and where people can find you.
Okay. So obviously I have my company, the Uplift Grazing. I do Spanish food. I do grazing boards. Obviously, I bring products from Spain as well. You know, I have obviously exclusive stuff that they won't be here available to buy. I have my own range of products as well. Actually, my top seller, best seller right now is chorizo jam. You know, so
Chorizo
imagine
jam.
chorizo jam. Yeah. I created this spread and people are just loving it. You know, so I do have sauces, so you can have some tapas at home. You know, like you can create your own tapas as well. Like that's why I want people to do, like create recipes with the stuff that I make. Everything is Spanish inspired, so I have things from Catalonia, from Canary Islands. You know, a little bit of everything. And I do events as well. And I also have Spanish Night in Lincoln, which is like a seasonal party that I do, and in which I cook, and we have like a little bit of dancing and everything, and a DJ. So yeah, I encourage everybody in Lincoln to just come and party, you know, like why not? Because we don't have anything around here like this, you know.
No, we don't.
So I want to bring Spain to here, because people is like constantly telling me, go back to Spain, come back to us. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna bring Spain to here now.
We need to off air figure out more ways that we can collaborate.
Yes,
We have
for
to do
sure.
that
I will
because
love
I
that.
think
Yes.
between the two of us, we could, approaching the same objective from different angles, and
Yeah.
we can really nail it.
Why not? What you have in mind?
We'll do this for later. We don't want other people listening and stealing our ideas.
All right. Yeah. Don't steal our ideas.
Beatriz, thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias por pasar una mañana conmigo. And
Gracias a
I
ti.
can't wait to get you back on again, and we'll talk some more another time. All right.
Sure. Yes.
Thank you so much.
I will have some Spanish rant about food.
We'll save that for next time. Hasta luego, Beatriz.
Hasta luego. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to Viva Spanish, the podcast. And I am on the beg with this. Can you please do me the gracious favor of sharing, liking, commenting, following, recommending, doing everything that you can to get the word about Viva Spanish out there? It will be doing me a huge, huge favor. I would like this to be big. I would like this to be able to help as many people as it possibly can on their Spanish language journey. And hopefully there is more exciting stuff to come that can mean Viva Spanish helps you further than we already are. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Hasta luego. Y como siempre, la próxima vez, más y mejor. Adiós.